Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm glad you could be here. Today I'm going to do my first book tag. I've never participated in something like this before. I thought I'd try something different, and this is not a book tag that I created. This is a book tag created by another YouTuber. I'll link her channel below. Her channel is called This Brown Girl Reads. And the way a book tag works is you answer a series of questions that are part of the book tag, and then you tag other YouTubers to get their reactions to the same questions. So I'm pretty excited about doing this. This is one that she created called Page to Screen. It's about books that have been adapted to the screen and your thoughts and answers to questions about those adaptations. So I will get right into it here in just a second, but before I do, make sure you stay till the end of the video, because I'm going to be talking about what's coming up in next week's video, and it actually has to do with this topic as well. So let's get right into it. The first question is, what page to screen adaptation made you cry in reaction to both formats? For me, this was The Martian by Andy Weir. This book is a fantastic read. It's about a guy who goes on an expedition to Mars for NASA, and he gets stuck on the planet due to some unfortunate circumstances, and kind of similar to Castaway with Tom Hanks, but on a Martian setting. He has to learn to live and survive on Mars with hopes of eventually being rescued by another expedition. And it's full of dark humor, twisted humor, full of really, really crass settings, a lot of language, but a lot of heart-wrenching moments as well, where you almost feel like he's going to give up, but then he doesn't. It's just a whirlwind of emotions that are present in the book. And the ending, oh my gosh, the ending brought me to tears in both formats, the book and the movie. The movie was really well done. I thought they did a great adaptation of it, and I can't recommend that book enough to anyone. If you like sci-fi realism, that's a great book to pick up, and the movie is just top-notch. Can't recommend it enough, but yes, it brought me to tears. I am a crier. I am not ashamed of that fact. My kids will tell you, if there's a movie that's going to make you cry, Dad's going to be the one crying on the couch with a box of tissues. Yeah, that's who I am. It happens. I get easily emotional. And with that, let's move on to the next question, which is, what page-to-screen adaptation are you looking forward to this year? I am very much looking forward to Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. The most recent Agatha Christie adaptation was Murder on the Orient Express, directed and portrayed by Kenneth Branagh. He portrayed the famous Belgian sleuth Hercule Poirot. I did do a video review on this if you are interested in checking that out. And he is reprising his role as the famous Belgian detective, and he is also directing Death on the Nile, from what I understand. So I'm very excited to see what happens with it. The books are always better in most cases, in my opinion, and that definitely stood true for Murder on the Orient Express. But I'm still excited to see what they do with Death on the Nile. So I will be rereading Death on the Nile at some point in preparation for the new movie coming out, and I will let you know what I think at that time. But I'm very excited about that one. I also am very excited about the new adaptation of Dune by Denis Villeneuve. He's a brilliant creator from what I have seen briefly of his creations. He is supposedly staying very true to the Dune book. And so I'm very curious to see what he does with it. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we get later on into the video. But yes, I am very excited for that adaptation. Dune deserves a good quality adaptation. And now on to the third question. What page-to-screen series were you happy to see discontinued? Oh boy. Hands down, this goes to the Shannara Chronicles, which was a adaptation of the Shannara book series by Terry Brooks. I love Terry Brooks. He is one of my favorite authors. The Shannara series is just massive and brilliantly written, and I was hoping that the Shannara Chronicles would do it justice, and it didn't. It was just really bad in so many ways. It was a fun series. I watched both seasons. They were fun, they were entertaining, but they weren't Shannara, and I was so disappointed. With one exception, Manu Bennett, I thought was a perfect casting for the druid Alanon. I thought he embodied the character well. I think he carries the aura of what you would expect Alanon to be on screen. But the series just suffered from really poor writing, really poor execution, and they were hardly faithful at all. So, yeah, that's my opinion. A lot of other people hold that opinion. You may have enjoyed it, and if you did, that's great, but I really didn't, and I was really glad it got canceled. There's a rumor that it may be revitalized and rebooted. That rumor has been hinted at by Terry himself, so we shall see. I hope they do it justice the second time if they do. So let's move on. What series would you like to see as a page-to-screen adaptation? I have two. The first one would be Aragon. The Inheritance cycle as a whole by Christopher Paolini is just brilliant. It had its flaws, but it was a very entertaining series, and I may read it again at some point. I did enjoy it. There was a movie made of it a few years back that was just a terrible, terrible adaptation. Oh boy, they just... I just won't say any more about it. I barely like to speak of it. And I think it's time that the Inheritance cycle got a quality adaptation that is deserving of acknowledgement by Christopher Paolini and by his fans. I think it could really, really make a good TV series if they did it right. Hear me, Hollywood? Let's do it right. And yeah, so I'm going to move on. The other one I think would make a really good series is Mistborn. It could make a good TV series, but I think it could also function good as a set of movies. The action is very evenly paced throughout the books. There's not an extreme amount of world building, so much so that it couldn't be made into a movie. But I think they could do it even better justice with a TV series. So we shall see. I've heard rumors that it may be in talks to be adapted. I don't know that for certain, but I hope it does get one because it would make for a really good translation to the screen. And with that being said, I'm going to move on to the next question. What page to screen is currently in production that you're excited about? I have two answers on this one. And I know some of these I've had more than one answer on, and I think that's okay. And if you don't think it's okay, I'm sorry, I do, and that's my opinion is what counts, right? So two of them. The first one is Sandman. The graphic novel series by Neil Gaiman is begging to be adapted, and it has been picked up. It is currently entering into production with Netflix, and I can't wait. The Sandman series is just brilliant, and I can't wait to see what they do with it, especially if Neil Gaiman is as directly involved as it sounds like he is. I think it will be a very faithful adaptation, and I just can't wait. The other one is Dune. I mentioned that briefly earlier, and that one is also begging for a high-quality adaptation in terms of cinematography and costumes and just all-out fanfare. I think it could be really good. There was the movie, made back in the 80s that was really good, but it was not faithful to the book at all. There was a mini series on Sci-Fi Network several years back that was more faithful to the books, but the costuming and the lighting and cinematography was just kind of way off. So I'm really excited to see what Denis Villeneuve does with this book series. And hopefully it won't just be the first book. Hopefully it will do well enough that they can adapt more books in the series. And that leads me to the next question, which is, what page-to-screen adaptation do you appreciate as two separate entities? And the previous question led to this because my answer is Dune. I am a huge fan of the original movie that was made back in the 80s. And I had never read the book at that time. I only knew of the movie. I knew there was a book, but I hadn't read it. I didn't read the book until I was an adult. And so I really, really appreciate the quality and the fun that I got out of Dune as a kid. Just a fun movie, really entertaining, really action-packed. I thought the characters were great. I will always adore Patrick Stewart as Gurney Halleck, and it does need a quality adaptation, though. The book was fantastic, and so even though I appreciate the original movie as high quality entertainment, it was quite different from the book. They did not adapt it well, but I appreciate them both separately. So yeah, that's my answer. That's hands down the top on my list for that answer. What page-to-screen adaptation did you not vibe with? My answer is Fahrenheit 451. I did a video on it a few weeks back, and yeah, it was just not... It was somewhat entertaining, but I did not vibe with it. It was just... I was so disappointed. The book was amazing. Yeah, it just didn't click with me. Maybe you like it, and if you do, that's awesome. But yeah, not for me. I wouldn't watch it again. It was kind of a waste of an hour and a half, I think, personally. But yeah. The next question is, what is the best page-to-screen adaptation that you have ever seen? This has to be Lord of the Rings for me. The Fellowship of the Ring, the Two Towers, the Return of the King were just brilliantly executed. And they are even better if you watch the extended cuts. In fact, in my mind, that's the only way to watch them. The theater cuts were fun. It was really, really well done. And I thought that Peter Jackson did a brilliant job of adapting the book, but the extended cuts are even so much better. There were changes that were made. It did have its flaws, but overall it is still one of the best fantasy adaptations that I have ever seen on the screen. In terms of acting, in terms of locations selected, in terms of set building, in terms of... I could go on and on and on. It was just such a great movie series. And you know it's good when it takes 3 to 4 hour movies to adapt a book. Yeah, just really good. So that's the best for me. And moving on. What page-to-screen adaptation did you watch that had a better ending than the book? I would have to say that The Bourne Identity, for me, had a better ending than the book. The book is authored by Robert Ludlum. The movie was much different from the book in so many ways. I did read the book after seeing the movie, so I'm probably a little biased, but if I had read the book first, I kind of feel like I wouldn't have even bothered watching the movie. So I'm really glad that I did it in the opposite side of the coin, watched the movie first, and then I read the book, and I definitely thought the movie was much, much better. But of course, Robert Ludlum's book was written in a different time period. The Bourne Identity was made for more of a modern audience, so I've got to give credit to Robert Ludlum's book. It was an entertaining read. It was just, I thought the movie was just much better overall, and especially the ending. So, yeah. So the next question, what page-to-screen adaptation did you enjoy on screen that makes you want to read the book? And it has to be Blade Runner for me. Of course, the book is called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? And it is on my TBR list for this year. I am going to get to it. But I'm a huge fan of the movie. And also the recent sequel they did, Blade Runner 2049, which was created by the same director that's creating the new Dune movie. Goodness, and I thought Blade Runner 2049 was also an excellent movie. So the movie definitely made me want to read the book, and so I am very excited to do so here coming up very soon. What page-to-screen adaptation have you neither watched nor read because you can't decide which one to do first? That has to be The Outsider by Stephen King. It's currently on HBO. I've thought that I really wanted to watch the TV series, but then I'm like, do I want to read the book first? It's probably better to read the book first, but then all the commercials I see for the TV show look so good. I'm like, man, which one should I do? I just can't decide. Which one do you guys think I should do? Let me know in the comments. Give me some help here, guys, because I need it. That's a tough one. Yeah, please help. I can't make this decision. Well, I can, but it may take me a long time. Help me speed it up, guys. I would really appreciate it, okay? Okay, cool. Thanks. What page-to-screen adaptation can you happily live without? I've thought about this one quite a bit, and I mentioned the Shannara Chronicles earlier. And I think if I had to go back in time before I watched those and decide not to watch it, I would. And I think if we didn't have an adaptation of it, a new adaptation of it, I would be just fine without one. Because the books are just so good. And it's a huge series of books. So again, getting a quality adaptation of such a large, expansive series maybe wouldn't happen. So I think I could live without that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, if they try another one, great, I may watch it. But if they don't, I'm fine. We don't need to adapt it again. Once was enough. Yeah. So, And finally, the final question on the list is, what recent read would you like to see as a page-to-screen adaptation? And I have a couple here that I think would make really, really good movies and maybe TV series. One would make a better movie, one might make a better TV series or event series, like a short mini-series. So I'll talk about that one first. And that is The Night Circus. You've seen my review, or if you haven't, I'll link it at the end of the video. make sure to check it out. But the Night Circus, I think, would make a really good event series, like a short, concise mini-series, maybe even a movie. They would have to really do it justice to make it a good movie. So a short TV series there, kind of like they did with Good Omens. I think that would be perfect for the Night Circus. And another of my recent reads I read last year was Meddling Kids, kind of like a Scooby-Doo-ish mystery tale for adults with a little Cthulhu mixed in. I've done a video review on that one as well, but I think that would make a good movie. It's a short enough book, concise. There's not a whole lot of extreme depth to the book that would require a TV series. I think that one would make a really good movie. But as to the previous question, I might be able to do without an adaptation of either one of these, to be honest, because they're just such good books. I would hate to see them ruined in an adaptation, but I would also be willing to give it a shot. So I'm kind of on the fence with these. But yeah, I think they could make good adaptations. So that's my answer to some of these questions. And I would love to know what your answers are to some of these questions. There's a lot of them. There's 13 questions here. You know, it's a lot to take in and process. I had to think through a lot of them pretty heavily. But let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Let's talk about these. Are there some of these adaptations that I talked about that you just don't care about, that I'm excited about? Or vice versa. What are some of the ones that I really did not like that you liked, or that I'm not really excited about that you are very excited about? Let's talk in the comments. Share with me. Let's get that dialogue going, guys. Hit me up with a chat. Let's go. As I promised, in my next video, I will be discussing Stephen King's It. I am almost done with the book. I'm right almost at the end, just at that tail end where I'm just like on the edge of my seat, and it's an audiobook, right? So I'm listening to the audiobook and I'm like, oh man, this is so good. I can't wait to finish it. And so I know that I'm going to be done with it by next week, and I will have a review of the book for you. And I will also talk about the adaptation and how I thought Hollywood did in terms of adapting the book. And so make sure that you subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Sign up for notifications if you want to get notified when my next video drops. And stay tuned, because that video review will be coming next week. Don't forget to share this video with your friends. If you enjoyed it and you think they would like my channel, share it with people you know. I would love to have more followers, more people to interact with and engage with. And please make sure to click a like on this video if you enjoyed it. And you know the drill, guys. Read more books. I'll see you next week. Bye.